what's happening to this world when the sky changes color, the ground reacts, and people are just left stunned and confused. Right in the first days of the new year, everything seems to speed up, hitting one after another, with no time for anyone to get ready. These aren't the usual events we're used to. They're strange signs showing up one after another, slamming right into our beliefs, our fears, and our questions about whether tomorrow will even come. Snow pouring down where there should only be sunshine, rocks taking on shapes of living things, daylight swallowed up in the middle of the day, huge shadowy figures appearing, the sky shaking like it's being pulled out of its normal order. 10 events, not random, not separate, coming one right after the other like a drumbeat, getting faster and louder, forcing the whole world to look up and ask, where exactly are we in all of this? If there's still a quiet prayer in your heart, go ahead and leave it in the comments as a way to hold on tight to your faith before this story unfolds. Things that might make you feel like humanity's time is shorter than ever. And right now, so you don't have to wait, let's just get started with 1. A terrifying blizzard hit Nathia Gali, Pakistan, a shocking disaster in the middle of a tropical hill area. No one expected a snowstorm in a place that's usually all about sunshine and pine forests, and that sudden moment really stops you in your tracks. Everything seemed normal, but in just a few hours, Nathia Gali got thrown into a whole different world. The cold came out of nowhere, making you wonder what's really changing in the way the world usually works. Nathia Gali is a quiet hill resort town in northern Pakistan, sitting about 7,900 feet up, known for its cool, peaceful weather. But early in 2026, the sky just dropped heavy snow, strong winds, and temperatures plunging way below 0 Fahrenheit. The mountain roads got completely blocked. Snow-buried cars, people were stuck for hours in brutal conditions, and rescue teams couldn't get there fast enough. According to CNN, at least dozens of vehicles got buried. Many folks ended up with serious hypothermia, and local hospitals were overwhelmed. Local authorities kept sending out urgent warnings: stay off the mountain roads, stay home. But most of those messages came too late. Chaos spread quick as traffic stopped, power went out, and families had to dig themselves out of the snow with little hope. Behind those cold numbers and neutral reports, the Bible opens up another layer of meaning. Matthew 24:7 says, "Nation will rise against nation, and kingdom against kingdom. There will be famines and earthquakes in various places." That verse isn't just about wars or quakes. It reaches to any unusual upheaval that shakes up people's lives. Scientists quickly pointed to climate change, shifting air patterns, and extreme weather. But what hits hard for a lot of people is how sudden and intense it was, way beyond normal forecasts. Luke 21:11 puts it even clearer. There will be great earthquakes, famines, and pestilences in various places, and fearful events and great signs from heaven. Here, the Bible isn't trying to settle things for us. It's more like a quiet reminder that these strange events carry a deeper message beyond the stats. The blizzard in Nathia Gali eventually eased as the snow slowly melted, but the uneasy feeling stuck around. And looking at this first big one, the real question isn't who's right or wrong, it's whether we're awake enough to see that things we thought were far away are getting closer than ever. 2. Moving stone eyes. The statue of Jesus comes alive in the church. That afternoon started just like any other in an old church. Sunlight slanted through the tall windows, soft footsteps echoed, and people held up their phones to capture an ordinary moment. No one was ready for what came next. The very normalness of it all made the following seconds unforgettable, as if we were standing at a line we hadn't even noticed at first. In the video shot among the crowd, the familiar stone statue on the altar suddenly changed. Its eyes, always still, began to move slowly, scanning the quiet space. The stone lips moved just a little, like they were trying to say something without sound. No explosion, no flash of light, just a gentle shift that froze the whole frame. It brought a feeling of something holy mixed with unease, as if reality had cracked open just a bit. The moment spread fast. When people watched the frames again, the chill down the spine didn't come from the video quality. It came from that gaze that seemed to have real purpose. Some stood frozen. Some dropped to their knees. Others quietly left the space. The recording kept getting shared at lightning speed, carrying curiosity and confusion far beyond the church walls. From there, arguments broke out in two clear directions. One side believed this was a sign from the spiritual realm, something beyond normal explanation. The other side pointed to light effects, camera angles, or tricks of the eye. Video experts broke down every pixel. People of faith listened with their hearts. Both sides held their ground pretty calmly, since there wasn't strong enough proof yet to end the story one way or the other. Right in the middle of the debate, the Bible stepped in like a key. Matthew 24:24 says, "For false messiahs and false prophets will appear and perform great signs and wonders to deceive, if possible, even the elect." Those words don't deny that signs can happen. They just remind us to stay alert when we see them. But the Bible also opens another door. Revelation 1-7 declares, "Look, he is coming with the clouds, and every eye will see him." Those two verses side by side don't decide for us. They simply shine light on the thin line between deception and what is truly from God. The video ends in silence. The statue goes back to how it was, but the feeling it left behind never really went away. If it was just an optical illusion, it touched people too deeply to brush off. And if it wasn't, that silence after the moment is exactly why the story keeps unfolding, and no one is in a hurry to close it. 3. A huge white golden cloud blocked out the sunlight completely, leaving a strange black shadow stretching hundreds of feet across the blue sky. That day the sky opened up with a beauty that was hard to believe, clear blue and perfectly calm, like a painting arranged just right. Right in the middle of it all, a long band of glowing white cloud with golden edges appeared. It curved and flowed gently, almost like a living thing, stretching hundreds of feet, and so striking that nobody could ignore it. But this beauty went against everything science tells us about light and clouds, because the sunshine couldn't get through it at all. Have you ever wondered what could be so amazingly beautiful, and at the same time so strangely wrong and unsettling? Just a few minutes later, that peaceful feeling gave way to something hard to describe. The cloud wasn't just hanging there. It left a long black shadow underneath, hundreds of feet long, like someone had cut a dark line across the sky. The air around seemed to grow heavier, and people watching felt a real chill even though the sun was still up there. It wasn't full panic, just a deep shiver when you face something way beyond normal understanding. A lot of folks tried to stay calm, watching and recording it on their phones. No thunder, no sign of a storm coming, just this heavy silence settling over everything. The cloud didn't look like regular storm clouds, and it wasn't smoke or fog either. That not like anything usual part is what spread the uneasiness. It stayed long enough for everyone to realize this wasn't some quick trick of the eye. Weather experts quickly offered careful guesses. Some said it might be a thick cloud full of dust or ice crystals, reflecting light in a rare way. Others mentioned unusual light scattering high up in the atmosphere. Those explanations sound reasonable on paper, but they still leave the biggest question hanging. Why did it block the light almost completely and create such a sharp, clear, dark shadow? Science gives possibilities, but not real certainty yet. In the middle of those neutral explanations, the Bible speaks up more like a warning than comfort. Matthew 24-29 says, "Right after the suffering of those days, the sun will be darkened, the moon will not give its light, the stars will fall from the sky, and the powers of the heavens will be shaken." It doesn't describe one exact event in detail, but it stresses how the normal order of the sky gets turned upside down. Another passage drives the wake-up call even deeper. Luke 21:25 warns, "There will be signs in the sun, moon, and stars. On the earth nations will be in anguish and perplexity at the roaring and tossing of the sea." When you put those words next to this strange cloud, The story stops being just about physics and becomes a reminder to stay awake and alert when unusual signs appear. In the end, the cloud finally broke up, the light came back, but that heavy feeling stayed hanging in people's minds. If science is still searching for answers, while the Bible gave its warning long ago, the real question isn't up in the sky anymore. When darkness can show up in the middle of a bright day, are we truly ready if it starts moving down, not just from above, but right into our own lives? 4. The red rock in Texas, shaped like a giant. The giant from the mountain rock waking up. Out in the rugged red hills of Texas, there's this one big rock that stands out with a shape that's way too familiar. Familiar enough to make you feel a little uneasy. It doesn't just sit there like other rocks. It feels like it's quietly watching time go by. What is it about a lifeless shape that makes people ask so many questions? From a distance, the rock looks like a huge person, leaning back against the mountainside, head tilted up, eyes fixed on the horizon. It's maybe a few dozen feet tall, so the size feels overwhelming next to everything around it. The natural ridges just happen to form what look like shoulders, a chest, and a clear head. The whole place gives off this ancient feeling, like it's been there longer than any human memory. Folks living nearby don't use some fancy scientific name for it. They whisper about it in a kind of sacred way, seeing it as a silent guardian of the red land. What about you? When you stand in front of something like that, do you figure it's just a random coincidence? Or maybe some message we haven't figured out yet? Geologists jump in quick with their explanation. They say millions of years of erosion, wind, and sand can carve out shapes that our brains turn into familiar figures. We're wired to spot faces and people in nature. That sounds reasonable, straightforward, and backed by real science. But then you put that next to the old pages of Scripture, and another layer starts to open up. Genesis 6-4 says, "There were giants in the earth in those days, and also after that, when the sons of God came in unto the daughters of men, and they bare children to them. The same became mighty men, which were of old, men of renown." It doesn't go into detail, but it leaves a question hanging around for generations. Numbers 13:33 keeps that memory alive. "There we saw the giants, and we were in our own sight as grasshoppers, and so we were in their sight." Those ancient words aren't about geology. They're opening a window into a history bigger than our modern timeline. Science talks about how it formed. The Bible talks about what it means. When you set those two views side by side, the question isn't really what the rock is, it's what it's reminding us of. Could faith and reason actually work together, with faith shining light into the places reason hasn't reached yet? Which way do you lean when you're standing right on that line? The rock stays quiet under the Texas sky, neither confirming nor denying anything. But that very silence stirs something in people's hearts. If ancient memories are starting to wake up through sights like this, the real question is, are we ready for whatever's about to be revealed? 5. Our Lady whispered, the Mary statue, moved in a home in Paraguay. Have you ever been in a really ordinary moment, not expecting anything unusual at all? Right in that quiet stillness, a very soft sound happened, like a whisper right next to your ear. It wasn't loud, the words weren't clear, but it was enough to make you freeze. When the phone was lifted up, the camera caught something hard to explain. The mouth on the Mary statue seemed to move slowly, opening like it was saying something very private. When the woman stepped closer, the movement stopped, leaving a feeling that an invisible line had just been gently pointed out. The video isn't long, but every second carries a strange feeling. The statue's face stays calm, eyes still, while the motion at the lips makes it feel so alive in a way that's hard to put into words. The air in the room got heavier, not pure fear, but a quiet sense of awe, like something holy had just passed, very close by. Luke 21:11 talks about moments like this. There will be terrors and great signs from heaven. That Bible verse doesn't paint a detailed picture, but it suggests a time when normal life can suddenly get interrupted by something beyond what people expect. Here, It wasn't the sky. It was just a small, private corner of everyday life. Right after the video spread online, people quickly split into different opinions. Some said it's just an optical illusion from the light, the angle, or a little camera shake. Others leaned towards something mechanical, like the statue reacting to temperature or vibrations in the room. Those ideas were shared pretty calmly, based on logic and experience. Still, Revelation 12:1 opens another way of looking at it. A great sign appeared, a woman clothed with the sun. That passage is usually understood on many levels, not to explain how it works, but to stir up symbols. When you put it next to the statue in the video, it doesn't prove anything, but it brings up a connection that's hard to ignore for anyone used to seeing signs through faith. In the end, what stays isn't a final answer, but the feeling that lingers after watching. The woman in the video just shared what she saw and heard. No extras, no big explanations. And for us, watching from our screens, do we see it as just something curious, or as a gentle reminder quietly speaking in the middle of our noisy lives? 6. Strange white noise band high up in the clouds. A shocking moment happened at tens of thousands of feet up, where everything should have been perfectly normal. Inside the steady cabin, engines humming along, a young passenger simply lifted her phone to record the white clouds outside the window. The second the lens pointed out, against that flat, calm cloud layer, appeared this strange white strip, stretching across the sky like a slash in the air. It didn't drift with the wind, didn't fade. It pulsed in short, jerky bursts, just like the old TV static snow. The peaceful view suddenly felt cold, as if the sky had accidentally shown a glitch people weren't meant to see. That white band didn't stay still. It kept wavering, small but noticeable movements, feeling like it didn't belong to the clouds and wasn't any normal weather thing we'd seen before. The girl holding the phone started breathing faster, her hand shaking a little, because she knew she was seeing something way outside ordinary life. What would you do if the sky in front of you suddenly didn't feel stable anymore, the way we've always trusted it to be? The video was shared later exactly as shot. No cuts, no color changes. The person who posted it just said she had no idea what she had captured. No big claims, no wild guesses, just honest confusion from someone who stumbled onto something hard to explain. That real, simple reaction is why the clip spread so fast and got people arguing hotly. Matthew 24:29 recorded a serious warning worth thinking about. The powers of the heavens will be shaken. The verse doesn't paint a specific picture, but it points to big disturbance in what should be the most solid, orderly place. Seeing this vibrating white band up among the clouds, a lot of folks couldn't help connecting it to that idea. Some weather experts think it could be video interference from the thick, layered airplane window glass, plus bright sunlight. Others brought up rare atmospheric waves that only show up in very unusual conditions. The ideas are offered carefully, but none really line up perfectly with the odd, jerky motion caught on video. Luke 21:25 also mentions, "There will be signs in the sun, moon, and stars." It's not about scaring us, but warning that major changes often begin with small, sudden signs popping up in what feels like normal, steady life. That wave in the clouds might just be something rare, or it could be a quiet reminder that the sky isn't as calm and silent as it used to be. So far, the video still has no final answer, but the uneasy feeling it leaves is very real. When even the sky starts showing these strange shakes, the question isn't just what it was, it's whether we're ready for whatever changes might be coming next. 7. Mysterious, spooky lights in the sky over Fairfax, Virginia. In a quiet neighborhood in Fairfax, Virginia, a woman looked up without thinking and just froze. Against the deep black night sky, 3 straight beams of light hung there in the air. The one in the middle was much wider, looking almost like a road drawn right across the sky. If you'd been standing under it in that moment, would you have believed your own eyes? Those 3 lines of light didn't move. They didn't spread out like flares or blur like regular lights do. They just stayed perfectly still, so sharp and clear that everything around them seemed fuzzy. The video shows a plain, empty sky above normal rooftops and streets below. But up there, it felt like something strange had been dropped into our world. It wasn't curiosity, it was a real chill running down your spine. Everyone who saw the footage noticed the same thing. That light wasn't trying to put on a show. It didn't move around to catch your eye. It just was there, quietly, like it was waiting for someone to really notice. 3 perfectly straight, parallel lines, so even and balanced, it felt almost wrong. It gave a sense of order and purpose, but way beyond anything we normally understand. That mystery made the uneasy feeling spread fast. Luke 21:25 talked about moments like this. There will be signs in the sun, moon, and stars. The verse doesn't spell out exact shapes, but it says the sky will show signals strong enough to make people stop and think hard. When you place those words next to these 3 floating paths of light, a lot of folks feel there's something worth thinking about there. Quick explanations started showing up. Rare weather effects, reflections from far-off man-made lights, things like that. But none of them really took away the sense that this was more than just ordinary technical stuff. It's the fact that there's no solid, satisfying answer that makes the worry grow bigger, because people are most afraid of things they can't put a name to. Revelation 1-7 also paints a powerful picture. Behold, he is coming with the clouds, and every eye will see him. Lights showing up in the sky, staying long enough to get recorded. Clear enough you can't miss them. This made many people quietly wonder if those words are starting to come true in some way. What's really striking is how the video ends. No big dramatic finish. The 3 light paths didn't flash or disappear in a puff. They just slowly faded after a while, and the sky went back to looking normal, like nothing ever happened. But that uneasy feeling didn't go away. When the sky draws paths that people can't figure out, the question still hangs there. Where do those paths lead, and who is supposed to walk on them? 8. A helicopter frozen in midair. Its blades completely still, yet it just hangs there. A helicopter is hovering in the middle of the sky with its rotor blades not moving at all. This wasn't out in some remote desert or secret military base. It happened right at a busy city intersection, with a red light and people everywhere. The sight lasted only a few seconds, but it was long enough to shake that everyday feeling we all have, that the world runs on fixed, reliable rules. The man who first recorded the video just happened to look up by reflex. The helicopter was maybe a few dozen feet up, its body perfectly steady in a really strange way. The blades weren't blurring like they usually do. They were frozen still, like someone hit pause. In that moment, there was no loud wind, no shaking, just this heavy silence hanging right over everyone's heads on the street. When the video started spreading, people zeroed in on the one thing that made no sense: how perfectly balanced it was. Physics tells us a helicopter needs constant lift from those spinning blades to stay up. But here the body stayed locked in place, almost like something invisible was holding it steady. If you'd been standing right underneath it, would you still feel so sure about the rules we all take for granted? After a few seconds, the blades started turning again, very slowly, and not quite matching the steady state from before. The helicopter flew off like nothing unusual had happened. That back to normal part actually left people more unsettled, because it didn't look or feel like any ordinary mechanical glitch. Job 26-7 has been quoted a lot in this kind of discussion. He hangs the earth on nothing. That Bible verse doesn't explain how it works, but it quietly suggests there are forces beyond human understanding keeping everything in place. When you put those words next to a machine weighing thousands of pounds just floating without any visible lift, a lot of folks start thinking about deeper layers of reality. People came up with technical explanations, from optical illusion caused by the camera's frame rate to the video maybe being edited, but none of them fully explain how it stayed so stable for several seconds. The real doubt isn't about the tech details. It's the feeling that something stepped in and messed with the normal order of things. Colossians 1:17 says, He is before all things, and in him all things hold together. We usually read that as a statement of faith. But when you see something that challenges everyday logic, it starts to feel like a serious hint about where the order and balance we take for granted really come from. The helicopter eventually left the sky over that intersection, but the question stayed behind. When our most advanced machines suddenly act like they're no longer bound by the laws of physics, is it just a rare glitch? Or a sign that the world we thought was so solid is starting to shift? 9. Glowing purple spiral in the Arctic ice. The Arctic opens up like another world, where snow and ice reflect the faint light into misty, dreamlike layers. In that near-total silence, a strange purple glow appears, twisting into a deep spiral buried inside the ice. Standing there, it's hard not to feel like you've stepped right up to a boundary most people never reach. This glowing spiral doesn't sit still like a crystal, and it doesn't spread out like the aurora we usually see. The purple light pulses in a steady rhythm, like a signal being sent out and pulled back in. The ice around it catches the glow in thin, rippling streaks, making everything feel like it's breathing together, even though there's no wind or obvious movement. People who saw it say time seemed to stretch out. The spiral gives off no heat and makes no sound, but it has this pull that's hard to explain, almost like it's quietly inviting you closer. In that moment, the line between the natural world and something beyond it gets so blurry it's almost scary. Ezekiel 1:16 once described something that makes you think, "The appearance of the wheels and their work was like the color of beryl." All four had the same likeness, their appearance and their work being, as it were, a wheel within a wheel. When you put that old description next to this glowing purple spiral, a lot of folks notice something odd in common: orderly motion, unusual light, and the feeling of a structure that doesn't belong to our everyday world. Scientists quickly came up with ideas, from rare plasma effects to chemical reactions in ancient ice. But none of them really explain the steady pulsing rhythm like a code, or how such a perfect spiral could hold together in a place so harsh that stable shapes are almost impossible. Job 38-22 asks a tough question for us humans. Have you entered the storehouses of the snow? Or have you seen the storehouses of the hail? Those words aren't about teaching science. They're a reminder that parts of creation are still way beyond our control or understanding. The Arctic, with its ice layers going back thousands of years, might just be hiding some of those secrets. The purple light keeps pulsing in the video footage, then slowly fades as the camera pulls away. It doesn't explode or vanish suddenly. It just quietly slips back into the ice like it was never there. But the sense of a heartbeat lingers for a long time, as if something is still running behind the curtain of reality. When glowing structures that look both ancient and strangely digital show up at the very edge of the earth, the real question isn't how they formed. What bothers people more is this: if creation is sending out signals like that, could it be a quiet reminder that there's a deeper order slowly being revealed, and we're only just starting to notice? 10. A city floating over the ocean, buildings appearing in midair. In that peaceful scene, the man lifts his camera just to capture a calm moment. But then stop and think. If something impossible suddenly appeared right in front of you, would you really stay calm? Right above the horizon, a whole city shows up in the sky, sharp and clear in a way that gives you chills. Tall buildings lined up perfectly, windows, balconies, block shapes all even and neat, like they were cut straight from a flawless blueprint. They're not blurry like a mirage, not shaking with the wind or clouds, just hanging there, completely still, totally separated from the sea below. Seconds keep passing, but the city doesn't change shape at all. It's like another layer of reality got stuck in the sky. The long silence turns the beautiful view into a quiet pressure, forcing you to face an uneasy feeling that's hard to name. Isaiah 24:1 comes to mind, like a serious warning. See, the Lord is going to lay waste the earth and devastate it. He will ruin its face and scatter its inhabitants. When you put that warning next to a picture of a city with no foundation, no ground underneath, a lot of people start thinking about everything being turned upside down, where even the most solid things are no longer in their right place. Some people say it's atmospheric refraction, or a fata morgana effect over the ocean. But what keeps folks uneasy is how perfectly detailed it all is. The straight lines don't bend, the building blocks aren't distorted, and most of all, it doesn't fade away even when the camera angle changes. It feels like a glitch in the world, where something that doesn't belong in our time got displayed in the wrong spot. Revelation 18:10 talks about the terror of watching great symbols fall. Woe, woe to you, great city, mighty city of Babylon. In 1 hour your judgment has come. That floating city, even though it doesn't collapse, brings the same fragile feeling. The things people built and trusted to last forever can become meaningless in just a moment. If our world can glitch and show images like that, the question isn't really what the phenomenon is anymore. It's where we stand in a reality that can shift at any time. Matthew 24-35 states a truth that never changes. Heaven and earth will pass away, but my words will never pass away. When everything we can see starts feeling shaky, maybe the only thing that truly stands firm isn't a city floating in the sky. It's where we choose to put our trust before everything else disappears. Here are 10 signs that seem like scattered pieces at first, but when you put them together, they form a picture that's downright chilling. It's no longer just random chance or some algorithm playing tricks with images. This string of signs showed up right when the world was shaking, people's hearts were troubled, and trust was wearing thin. In a quiet moment, we have to ask ourselves, why is everything suddenly heading in the same direction, as if someone is sounding the final trumpet for humanity? The Bible has long described times like these, not with dates or schedules, but with the condition of the world and the human heart. Luke 21:11 warned, "There will be great earthquakes, famines, and pestilences in various places, and fearful events and great signs from heaven." When you line it up, what's really frightening isn't just the match. It's the feeling that those words are still echoing, reaching straight through the centuries into today. The most dangerous thing about these signs isn't the fear, it's the indifference. When people get used to chaos and strange things, hearts can grow hard and treat every warning like just another passing news story. Hebrews 3:15 reminds us, "Today, if you hear his voice, do not harden your hearts." Those words are like a quiet indictment, not thundering condemnation, but something that makes each soul look honestly at itself. The time we have left, whether long or short, isn't measured in years or months, but in inner preparation. The world may keep running as usual, but the direction is already set. 2 Peter 3:10 says, "The day of the Lord will come like a thief. The heavens will disappear with a roar." Those words aren't meant to panic us. They're meant to wake us up to the fact that nothing here on earth lasts forever. So right now, the important thing isn't trying to guess the day or hour. It's choosing how to live. Turning back, staying awake, and renewing our faith every day, that's the quiet but strongest answer. Matthew 24-44 urges, "You also must be ready." It's not a harsh command. It's a gentle, merciful reminder for anyone still listening. If what I've said just now touches something deep inside you, feel free to leave a short prayer or a sincere thought below, like we're lighting small candles together in the darkness. And if you don't want to miss any future messages, please help by sharing this and walking with the channel in the days ahead. Thank you so much for staying until the very end. May peace cover every family and guard every heart through these turbulent times. May grace lead, protect, and shine on us, today and always. Amen.
What comes to your mind when I mention West Asia? Conflict, regional rights.
Something fun to talk about on top of, I'm going to be showing you guys some really cool information.
People started shooting the lights out of this thing, and it didn't die, trust me.
Backed by national security forces in Iraq, called
In a world where we think we've pretty much figured everything out, there are still moments that just take your breath away. The true story of U.S. soldier John Pounders down at the Euphrates River, the very river the Bible says will one day release end times beings, is one of those moments that hits you like a ton of bricks. Can you feel it? It's like something is rising up from the past to remind us the clock is ticking fast. Those pitch-black caverns under the water, swirling beams of light that look like they're calling somebody's name, sounds that make the river's surface shake, and a chained creature that's still breathing. And today's video isn't here to scare you, it's here to take you deep into the 5 jaw-dropping discoveries John made. What he saw will make you look at all those old prophecies with completely new eyes. Every single one feels soaked in God's warnings. Folks, we're running out of time, and we don't have to wait any longer. Let's jump right in with 1. Discovering huge, intricate cave structures under the river bottom. Down in the muddy Euphrates River during the war, an American soldier named John Pounders and his patrol boat crew saw something nobody expected. A massive underground structure with carved cave openings that looked like they came from some lost civilization nobody ever wrote about. The water was strangely clear, way clearer than any geological report ever said it could be. So clear, they could see these big doorways just sitting there, wide open, like they were waiting for somebody to walk in. Can you feel how breathless that moment must have been? If you were out there on that boat, would you have had the guts to get even 1 meter closer? When the boat was only about 50 to 100 feet away, the underwater caverns showed up plain as day, almost like something inside them was lighting them up. No bubbles, no current, just deep black openings that looked like entrances to some huge system built before the flood. This was back in 03 and 04, right in the middle of the heaviest fighting in Iraq, and none of the guys on patrol thought they'd run into anything that didn't have to do with the war. Just picture it. A building sitting on the water, but the bottom part that's underwater has perfect doors carved into it, like some kind of supernatural architecture. Does that sound normal to you at all? That sight immediately brought to mind the prophecy in Revelation 6:15-17. Then the kings of the earth hid in caves and among the rocks of the mountains. Those caverns under the Euphrates looked exactly like sealed-up hiding places waiting for the last days, and the fact that they showed up when the river suddenly turned crystal clear only made it feel like time is running out. That Bible verse felt like an echo coming right up through the water, reminding everyone that these weren't just rocks and sand. They were a warning written thousands of years ago. As John and his team moved closer, the sunlight hit the water and made a weird, bright streak that lit up geometric carvings on the stone doors. It stopped them cold, because the Euphrates is almost always muddy with silt. You never see the bottom. That ties right into Isaiah 2. Enter into the rock and hide in the dust. These caverns felt like the exact rocks the Bible was talking about. Places ready for when people have to run and hide from the glory of the Lord. And you know what's really scary? They were sitting right under the soldiers' boat, almost like they were calling out or warning them. A lot of skeptics say it was just battle fatigue or some old forgotten military bunker. But the water being impossibly clear, plus the fact that different witnesses all said they could see 20 to 30 feet down, makes that explanation pretty weak. Even over here in the States, people have seen similar underwater structures in Lake Michigan. Are we supposed to believe that's all just coincidence? And if it really was some military thing, why did the brass immediately order everybody to keep quiet about it? In the end, the whole scene brings us back to Isaiah 2:19. They shall go into the holes of the rocks and into the caves of the earth, for fear of the Lord. Those underground structures under the Euphrates might be part of the very network of hiding places the Bible described for the last days. This isn't just a geographical discovery, it's a spiritual sign. A knock on the door telling mankind to take a hard look at our faith. What do you think? Could this be part of the prophecy slowly unfolding right in front of us? 2. Spotting strange lights under the water. As the team of soldiers got close to the underwater structure in the Euphrates River, John Pounders and his buddies suddenly saw something even scarier than the darkness waiting ahead. Weird lights glowing down at the bottom of the water. These weren't lights from military gear, and they weren't sunlight reflecting off anything. They were separate, cold, quiet little points of light, almost like they were waiting for someone to notice them. Pretty hard to explain with regular science, right? The water that day was unbelievably clear for a war zone. You could see all the way down to about 20 feet. When the boat was still about 50 feet from the hidden structure, 5 or 6 of these lights started glowing under the surface, so clear that even with all the stress, nobody could mistake what they were seeing. The lights didn't flicker, didn't blink, didn't look like any kind of military lamp. They just stayed steady and bright, like eyes watching the boat. John said one of the guys up front suddenly pointed down and went pale, muttering, "What is that?" Then the lights started moving a little on their own, not drifting with the current, not following any normal pattern. No sound came from them, but the air on the boat suddenly felt heavy, like something invisible was pressing down. If you saw 5 or 6 glowing spots moving by themselves under an ancient river that's mentioned in Bible prophecy, could you stay calm? Those mystery lights instantly brought to mind end times prophecies. In Luke 21:25, the Bible warns, "There will be signs in the sun, moon, and stars. On the earth, nations will be in anguish. Signs in the sky and on the earth," which fits perfectly with lights showing up under the Euphrates as the river keeps drying lower every year. Right there, the line between natural and supernatural starts getting blurry. From the very beginning, light has always been used to mark special moments. Genesis 1:14 says, "Let there be lights to mark sacred times and days and years." If lights in the sky can be signs, then lights under a river tied straight to end times prophecy, could they be trying to wake humanity up? That question feels more urgent when modern reports talk about similar underwater lights showing up in other places around the world. Plenty of skeptics say it was just dive lights, metal reflections, or some kind of group hallucination. But 5 or 6 steady lights that stay still and then move on their own, appearing exactly when the boat reaches the hidden structure, that's an awful lot of coincidences to brush off. Reports from Lake Michigan and a few lakes up in Canada describe the same kind of thing. So the hallucination idea really doesn't hold much water. The Bible keeps pointing towards something supernatural here. Luke 21:11 says, "There will be great signs from heaven." And the original word for signs covers strange things happening in nature too, not just up in the sky. When lights appear under the very river where 4 angels are said to be bound, Revelation chapter 9, it sure makes you stop and think. All of this shows that whatever's hidden under the Euphrates isn't just ancient history. It might be prophecy starting to come alive piece by piece. Those quiet, mysterious lights showing up right on cue feel like an urgent reminder that the last days aren't far off. You may not believe in the supernatural, but how many more coincidences like this can the world rack up before all the pieces finally fit together? 3. Those mysterious lights came together into one craft. Just when the whole team was still confused about the 5 or 6 lights down at the bottom of the river, something even scarier happened. Those separate points of light started moving toward the same spot, like some invisible hand was pulling them all together. The clear Euphrates suddenly got restless, and everybody felt like something was about to happen that was way beyond anything humans could imagine. When the boat was still about 30 feet from the underwater structure, the lights all joined into one bright mass, so intense that the water surface looked like it was steaming. John remembers it clear as day. A blinding flash of sound shot straight up from deep below, strong enough to tip their 20-foot boat sideways. 1 second slower to react, and the whole team would have been in the water. That sound wasn't like an engine or any machine. It was more like the deep roar of something huge getting ready to break through the surface. The Bible talks about shaking like that. In Ezekiel 38:20 it says, "The fish in the sea, the birds in the sky, the animals in the field, and all people on the face of the earth will tremble at my presence." That noise under the Euphrates that day really did make people tremble, not just from fear, but because it felt like this wasn't natural at all. Then the thing nobody expected happened. The ball of light changed shape. It squeezed in, got smaller, then opened up into an oval object, like a strange craft that didn't belong to any technology humans have ever had. It spun once under the water and shot straight into the dark mouth of the cavern, so fast the eye could barely follow it. Some folks who hear this story tell me, "Nah, that sounds like a movie." But really, a lot of end-time events left people back then just as stunned. When the craft disappeared into the cave, the river went dead quiet again, like nothing had ever happened. But in the Bible, the Euphrates River is always tied to powers that are locked up. Revelation 9:14 says, "Release the 4 angels who are bound at the great river Euphrates." Could that craft have been a sign of that release starting? Something sent ahead? A messenger allowed to show up when the time is right? The questions just keep getting bigger, especially now that the river is drying up worse than anyone's ever seen. If this craft is a new thing, then the words in Isaiah 43:19 hit hard. "See, I am doing a new thing. Now it springs up. Do you not perceive it?" People usually only notice the signs after it's too late. So this craft, appearing, changing shape, then vanishing into the cave, could it be the first warning of things that are about to rise up? Of course, there are still some folks who don't believe in anything spiritual and figure it was secret technology, an underwater drone, or some military test gear. But tell me this, what kind of technology makes a sound that rocks a whole boat, turns light into a craft right in a war zone, and then takes off in a way that breaks every rule of physics? If the U.S. military had something like that, they sure wouldn't have kept it hidden this well. So this discovery didn't just shock everybody, it felt like a trumpet wake-up call. It's saying that under the Euphrates, invisible movements are happening, some kind of life or powers getting ready to come up. The Lord always leaves signs before he moves. The only question is, are we going to see them? 4. Discovering the chained creature that was still breathing. The second the craft vanished into the mouth of the cave, the whole team was still trying to catch their breath when John suddenly froze. About 15 feet back in the darkness, a huge black shape started coming forward out of the depths. Nobody said a word, but that silence was scarier than gunfire. The soldiers' flashlights hit it, and everybody saw the thick chains, big around as a man's wrist, wrapped all over the thing's body. Those weren't chains made by people. They looked ancient, heavy, and dark in a way that gave you the creeps. But the part that still makes my heart pound when John tells it wasn't the chains, it was that the thing was still breathing. Its chest rose and fell, slow and steady, like something had been trying to keep it locked up for thousands of years and still couldn't quite kill it. The skin looked like rock scales, part reptile, part something no biology book ever had a name for. Every time it breathed, that skin shifted a little and caught the flashlight beams like wet metal. Worse yet, its eyes were open just a slit, 2 glowing red spots, like hot coals, staring straight through the water and right into whoever was looking. That sight took John straight back to the Bible verses his dad used to read him when he was a kid. In Jude 1-6, it says the angels who left their proper place are kept in eternal chains under darkness. This pitch-black cave, these chains, this thing that just wouldn't die, it all fit, and it gave him chills. If you ever thought chained angels was just a figure of speech, well, the Euphrates that night showed different. John remembered another verse too. 2 Peter 2:4. God cast them into hell and committed them to chains of gloomy darkness to be kept until the judgment. That cave under the Euphrates wasn't just a hole in the ground, it was a prison. And what was inside wasn't a demon or an animal. It was something that once stood in God's presence and fell. Makes you shiver to think stories we called myths are showing up in real life here in the 21st century, doesn't it? A cold chill ran down John's back when he thought about Revelation 9:14. Release the 4 angels who are bound at the great river Euphrates. If one of them is chained right here, where are the other 3? Did the craft rushing into that cave just start the releasing? And why did this thing show up right when the Euphrates River is drier than it's ever been? Some folks in the comments say it could have been a giant fish or some mutated animal from the wars. Sounds reasonable, until you remember what fish gets wrapped in ancient chains. What animal has eyes that glow like fire and breathes like it's holding on to the last bit of its soul? If it's natural, why is it sitting exactly where the Bible said fallen angels would be locked away? And I believe this wasn't just something terrifying to see, it's a warning. A creature that's been imprisoned is still alive and waiting to be set free. When it fully wakes up, the whole world is going to feel it. Those chains are rusting, and the time of releasing is closer than ever. You ready to hear the 5th discovery? Because from here on out, it only gets worse. 5. A creature that's pretty much immortal, in a terrifying way. The second they laid eyes on that chained-up thing, the quiet in the cave didn't last long. Water started thrashing hard from the darkness down below, and anybody standing on the boat grabbed the wooden edge for dear life. The tension got so thick, one wrong breath felt like it'd rip your heart clean out. Then the guns went off. Not just one shot, boom, 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 one right after another, like metal popping out of the barrel just trying to buy a few more seconds alive. But the scariest part wasn't the gunfire. It was what the creature did. It didn't back up, didn't flinch, didn't even slow down. It just got mad. The water shook like a storm had dropped right inside the cave. Waves slammed the side of the boat so hard, it felt like something grabbed the whole thing from underneath and yanked whatever that power was. It was way beyond anything people have ever faced from a normal animal. It let out a roar that sounded thick and heavy, like steel bending. That feeling of it being impossible to kill took me straight back to the Leviathan in Psalm 74-14, the one only God himself can take down. I'm not just saying that to sound fancy. That's exactly what was happening. Something that doesn't play by the usual rules. And Job 41-33 felt like it was whispering right there in the dark. Nothing on earth is its equal. The bullets just kept sinking, disappearing into the black water like they were never fired. Every shot only made the thing matter, like pain was something it got bored of a long time ago. That huge body started moving toward the boat, dragging everything down with a force that crushed the surface of the water. Its rage felt a lot like Revelation 9:15, those beings that have been waiting, chained up, ready to come pouring out in fury after thousands of years locked away. In that moment, it wasn't just a picture in a book anymore. It was breathing, roaring, trying to pull men straight down into the dark. Some folks try to say, oh, it was probably just a big fish, or maybe a giant alligator, or some huge reptile. But alligators don't laugh at bullets, don't roar loud enough to feel like an earthquake in the water, and sure don't yank a boat down like a man grabbing your arm. Plain and simple, the size, the way it acted, the raw power, none of it matched any animal we've ever known. When the boat finally got away, the water behind them was still churning like something invisible kept pounding it, like the creature still wasn't ready to let go. All the signs, the roar, the shaking, the fact nothing heard it, added up to one awful truth. This wasn't natural. And right then, what happened in that cave stopped being just a discovery. It turned into proof that things are waking up. Things the Bible warned us about thousands of years ago are coming up out of the dark places under the ground and under the water, reminding us the last days are closer than ever. We've just walked through one jaw-dropping moment after another that John lived through. He even said this stuff is so hard to believe, most people will think he's making it up, and he's not even trying to prove anything. He just left everybody with one line that'll give you chills. The Bible is real, the power of God is real, and we're just about out of time. Do you believe this, soldier? This discovery that year, when all the pieces were put together like ancient fragments buried for thousands of years, formed a picture way bigger than anything those soldiers could have ever imagined. It all started as just a routine patrol, but what they ran into felt like getting yanked straight into a chapter of the Bible that was still being written. And the scariest part? Nothing about it felt random. It was like one marker after another getting triggered in perfect order. Those underground structures at the bottom of the river, cold, untouched, clearly not made by human hands, were the opening act of the whole story. No tech marks, no signs of natural water flow, just perfect, almost suspicious precision. They looked like the foundation of something that used to stand there or was waiting to be rebuilt. Like a door that's been locked for way too long, just needing one final push. Then came the lights underwater, steady, no flickering, definitely not man-made. When they gathered together and reflected off the crystal clear water all the way to the bottom, it felt like some kind of life down there was opening its eyes and watching us. It gave you chills, like you were right there on that boat yourself, hearing the water shake under your feet. For a few seconds, nobody knew if they were staring at something the Bible talked about thousands of years ago. Those lights weren't just lights. They merged into one thing with purpose. A craft, oval-shaped, sharp like liquid steel. It shot through the water faster than anything natural should move. In that moment, every scientific explanation just died. It wasn't what's down in the river anymore. It was that thing is waking up. The craft dove straight into a dark cave about 15 feet deep, like a signal waking something far older than mankind. And then they saw it. The chained creature, scaly skin, glowing eyes, chest still rising and falling like time never touched it. Living proof of what the book of Jude 1-6 talks about, the angels who did not keep their positions of authority, he has kept in eternal chains. Not a symbol, not a metaphor, a real being chained right in front of them. When the soldier's bullet hit it, what happened next changed everything for the whole team. The creature didn't fall, didn't weaken, it just got mad. A raw, ancient rage that made the water boil like a storm that'd been locked up for thousands of years. Waves slammed the boat so hard they almost got dragged under, like the thing was just stretching after a very long nap. And that's when the big picture came into focus, clearer than any military report. An underground structure like a gate, lights like a signal, a craft like the one who wakes it, a chained creature waiting for orders, and immortal power like the final seal. All of it right there under the Euphrates. You feel it, don't you? When you put every piece together, nothing looks random anymore. It runs like a chain of events, written a long time ago, just waiting for the right moment to show itself. Ever get the feeling you're watching an old prophecy play out? Only this time it's real, it's close, and it's a lot scarier. Revelation 16:12 is the key to the whole picture. The sixth angel poured out his bowl on the great river Euphrates, and its water was dried up to prepare the way for the kings from the east. The Euphrates drying up so bad in 2025 isn't just some weather thing. It's a warning going off right on time. If the river's opening up, what's getting ready to walk out? Then Revelation 9:14-15 talks about 4 angels who are bound at the great river Euphrates, being released, beings that have been waiting for the hour, the day, the month, and the year. The matchup with these 5 things the soldiers saw with their own eyes down in that water cave is too perfect to ignore. The craft, the chained creature, the shaking water, it's all like ancient memories waking up because the river went dry. And Luke 21:25 says, "There'll be signs in the sun, moon, and stars, and on the earth, nations in anguish because of the roaring and tossing of the sea, the waves roaring in that cave, the water shaking, the lights at the bottom of the river." Doesn't it sound an awful lot like what that verse is talking about? Just imagine, if this is only the beginning, how big is what's waiting behind that wall of Euphrates water? I'm not saying this to scare anybody. I'm saying the Bible's picture was never some far-off thing. It's always been right here. We just couldn't see it until the signs started piling up like this. Skeptics can call it nature, coincidence, exaggeration, but when 5 separate events line up almost perfectly with what Revelation describes, coincidence doesn't cut it anymore. The only thing that makes sense is the gate under the Euphrates is opening. And when that gate opens, whatever steps out isn't just one patrol's story anymore. It's the story of our whole time. The story the Bible warned us about thousands of years ago, only this time it's happening right in front of us. After everything John had seen, from the battlefields of the Middle East to strange signs showing up in the skies over America, he had to go looking for answers. It all started with one simple thought. If the old prophets warned us, then time has to make some kind of sense. He started with Enoch, the seventh man from Adam, the one the Bible says walked with God and was not, for God took him. In the book of Enoch, it's not in the regular Bible, but a lot of scholars still talk about it. There's this hint: the big judgments would come after 70 generations. Sounds like a weird number, but when you put it on a timeline, it opens your eyes. John wondered, if a generation back then was around 70 years, like a lot of old ways of counting, then 70 generations adds up to about 4,900 years. And if you start from Noah's flood, the answer might be closer than we think. Most folks go by Bishop Ussher's dates and put the flood around 2348 BC. But this soldier used a different marker, 1776 Anno Mundi, a year that happens to match exactly with 1776 AD. The first one was the judgment in Noah's day. The second was the year the Bavarian Illuminati started, the year America was born, the year a bunch of weird symbols popped up. Everything from the Statue of Liberty, which started out looking like Helios or Lucifer, to the broken chains at her feet. It felt like a reminder that this was when the bound angels started getting loose. To him, it wasn't coincidence anymore. 1776 became a sign, a quiet starting gun. He wrote in his notebook, if 1776 AM is the flood marker, then 70 generations later lands around 2552 AD. That's way off in the future. But his gut told him the truth wasn't there. Because if everything was really going to drag out until the 26th century, why is the world shaking so hard right now? Why are the signs piling up in just the last few decades? So he looked at a second idea, one from Rob Skiba. Skiba said the 70 generations don't start with Adam, they start with Abraham, because Matthew chapter 1 lists 42 generations from Abraham to Christ. If we need 70 total, that leaves only about 14 or 15 generations after Jesus. And if you use the older way of counting a generation, 120 to 150 years, the endpoint falls right at the start of the 20th century, exactly when the world started seeing things it had never seen before. The soldier flipped through his notes on the 20th century and saw one thing after another. UFOs started showing up big time in the 40s. But people were already reporting a few strange things back in the late 1910s. Technology took off like nothing normal. Human knowledge exploded, just like Daniel 12:4 said it would. Many shall run to and fro, and knowledge shall increase. Something got opened, something got let out, and it all kicked off right in the window Skiba pointed to. What really gave him chills was how both ways of counting, one from Enoch, one from Skiba, pointed to the same two moments, 1776 and the early 20th century. Both tied to a huge jump in knowledge, secret societies rising up, things from outside Earth showing themselves, and a deep change in what people are like inside. It felt like a door cracked open, or an old prison got its locks picked. He kept checking against what's happening now. The big rivers in the Middle East are drying up fast, especially the Euphrates, the one Revelation 9 says has 4 bound angels waiting. NASA and Al Jazeera both say the water level has dropped hard since 2021 and could lose 70% by 2040. He added another line, 2025, the year the Euphrates bottom might show, right on the timeline Revelation warns about. If those angels get loose there, everything could happen in the next 10 or 20 years, not next century. And don't you see it too? All these facts, These history markers, these old prophecies, everything going on right now, they fit together like puzzle pieces into one big picture. To him, they're not coincidences anymore. They're signals. Signals that the last days aren't far off, and the next big cleansing, whatever shape it takes, is coming. He left himself two final possibilities, like closing the book. Option A. The Watchers started getting released back in 1776. The symbols, the suspicious timing, all the cultural and spiritual bombs that went off from America and spread everywhere. Option B. They got loose at the start of the 20th century, right when human knowledge crossed the line. Technology exploded, and beings from somewhere else started showing up all over. Today, with the Euphrates drying, the world shaking from sky to ground, signs crowding the heavens, he believes we're standing right on the edge of it. Enoch's count, Skeba's count, the numbers the old ones left us, they're all pointing to the same spot. The end is close, real close. And the soldier knows one thing for sure. Getting ready isn't something for tomorrow. It starts today, right now. Here are the 5 things that American Soldier shared with us. From the signs in the sky, strange changes in nature, the prophetic data about 70 generations, the rise of knowledge since the early 1900s, all the way to the drying up of the Euphrates River. They all fit together like pieces of one big picture, clearer now than ever before. They're not just random things happening. They're part of a flow that's carrying humanity right up to the doorstep of what the old prophets talked about. And that man is standing right in the middle of it, like a witness who has to speak up. When we hear his story, every one of us knows deep down that this isn't just interesting information. It's a wake-up call for our spirit and our soul. The time we're living in isn't ordinary. The world is shaking exactly the way the Bible said it would. And in the middle of all this chaos, the most important thing isn't to be afraid. It's to turn back to the one who made us. If your heart feels restless right now, that's not by accident. It's a gentle nudge to stop, repent, pray, and put our full trust in the Lord. Because He's the only safe place left when the world slides into what the Bible calls the last days. Real preparation isn't about stocking up on food, money, or guns. It's about getting our hearts right and coming home to the source of life. I'd like to invite you, if you feel led, to leave a short prayer or just your honest thought about this soldier's story down in the comments. Even one sentence is fine. Even something you can barely put into words is fine. When we speak up together, faith gets stirred and light breaks through even in the darkest places. And if this video touched you in any way, made you think, woke something up inside, or just helped you look at the world a little more seriously, please hit like, share it, and subscribe. That way, you won't miss what comes next. And more people who need this warning and this hope will get to hear it too. Thank you for taking the time to watch the whole thing. In a world that's spinning out of control, the fact that you sat here, listened, and let it sink in, that's already a powerful thing. May the Lord be with you, guide you, and open your spiritual eyes to see what you need to see in these special days. God bless you and your family.
Gave much of the country a freezing cold Christmas. The bomb cyclone is blamed.
Tonight, the National Weather Service is warning that a historic winter storm is on.
25 basis point rate cut. The Federal Reserve lowering its benchmark interest.
But as I've said, we think we're well positioned to wait and see how the
New surveillance footage. It shows the moments leading up to and following a senseless random attack.
Let them go.
Within minutes of Zarutska sitting down on the train, the suspect sitting by.
What in the world is going on? The whole planet feels like it's shaking. And are you feeling it too? The breaking news out of America on December 11, 2025 hits us like one shock after another. Deadly blizzards tearing across the states. The Fed cutting interest rates even though inflation just won't quit. The immigration fight blowing up again after that murder in Charlotte. Trump taking another loss in court. The Northern Lights putting on a wild show in the sky. and a plane crashing right down onto cars on the interstate. Every single story feels like a piece of a crazy puzzle that's coming together to paint a picture of the last days. Do you see something bigger hiding behind all these numbers and pictures? Come with me and let's dig into each one so we can see the warnings and the messages the Lord has quietly tucked in there. So don't skip a thing, all right? Now let's get started with the first one. 1. Fierce winter storms slam the whole country. On December 11, 2025, America got hit hard by a monster winter storm that stretched across more than 40 states, from the East Coast clear to the West Coast. Heavy snow, flooding rain, and bone-chilling cold forced thousands of folks to get out of harm's way. Doesn't your heart beat a little faster when you see pictures of cars stuck for hours, roads turned pure white, and wind howling like it wants to rip everything apart? This isn't just regular weather. It feels like nature is sending one message after another, loud and non-stop. The National Weather Service says the polar vortex is shoving Arctic air down, while an atmospheric river pours in moisture from the Pacific Northwest. It's not only a weather challenge, it's a reminder of how fragile the balance of this old Earth really is. The biggest early season storm in 10 years makes you wonder, is this just random? Or is something bigger going on? When the snow piles up, Matthew 24, verse 7, pops into my head, and maybe yours too. Nation will rise against nation, and kingdom against kingdom. There will be famines and earthquakes in various places. Could Mother Nature be pointing us toward the last days? It started early this week with 4 to 6 inches in Chicago, up to 9 inches in Iowa and South Dakota, and over 2 feet in parts of New York and Massachusetts. Whiteout conditions made it impossible to see your hand in front of your face. Hundreds of flights got canceled at JFK and Logan. Car wrecks shot way up in Kansas. At least 5 people didn't make it. Out west, record flooding around Snoqualmie Falls forced more than 9 million people to evacuate. Looking at numbers like that, don't you feel like time itself is speeding up and every minute counts? Right in the middle of all those cold, hard facts, Luke 21 verse 11 comes to mind like a quiet warning. There will be great earthquakes, famines and pestilences in various places, and fearful events, and great signs from heaven. These roaring winds, blinding snow, and raging floods feel an awful lot like those great signs from heaven. Temperatures dropped to -22 in 17 states from the Midwest to the East Coast. Schools and offices shut down. Highways turned into parking lots. Supply chains came to a standstill, yet people kept fighting, hour after hour. On X, rescue videos are running 24/7 with millions of views. Folks crying for help, sharing pictures, telling how they made it through the night. In the middle of all that hardship, Job 37 verse 6 feels truer than ever. He says to the snow, "Fall on the earth," and to the rain shower, "Be a mighty downpour." Can you sense that mighty power at work in every gust and every drifting snowbank? Climate experts say it's just man-made climate change, that Noah can explain it all with charts and graphs. They tell us big storms have always happened and tying them to the Bible is just old-fashioned superstition. But when you see how strong and how often these things are hitting in 2025, can you really call it coincidence? One storm right after another, record cold followed by historic floods. Does that leave much room for doubt? The numbers, the pictures, the rescue stories, they're not just news. They're pieces of a bigger picture about the last days. The snow, the floods, the wind, they're warnings from nature, but woven right through them are signs from God, reminding us He's watching, and His power is in every drop of rain and every flake of snow. Have you ever stopped in the middle of your busy day and asked yourself, am I paying attention? Am I ready for whatever's coming? Looking at the whole thing, this storm isn't only bad weather. It's a sign, a test for all of us. When you see those pictures of whiteout roads, howling wind, and water rushing everywhere, ask yourself, what's waiting up ahead? And am I awake to the signs the Lord is sending every single day? These storms are like the heartbeat of the